Hello and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is the 3rd of April, it's Thursday. Unfortunately, I had other engagements this morning, so I couldn't do the update until now. I do apologize about that. And what a morning to get into the market, to looking at the market. Really crazy movements all around. In this educational video, there's no recommendation or advice whatsoever, but I will just talk out from from my point of view based on technical analysis and how I read the charts. But it's for educational purpose only. Today I will start looking at the Russell 2000 index and ETF, actually iShares Russell 2000 ETF. It is pre-market indicated to open about 2.4% lower, so down here around 194.5 in this region here. Looking at the weekly chart, well, if it takes out the lows at 195.49 and closes below and below the cloud here on the weekly, I think we could see the Russell 2000 small cap index down here around 190, testing let's get rid of this one, that is obsolete, moving in this region here between 191 and 187. The semiconductor index, illustrated here with the iShares semiconductor ETF, the SOXX, indicated to open 4.5% lower, around 181, so a new low if it does close below here. I think it will. It actually, we have this diamond shaped top and reversal pattern here on the weekly chart, support at 177, 178, but there should be further downside potential, and we can just kind of estimate it or guesstimate and say, okay, if it should move just as much as the diamond size, well, then we are looking at areas around 150, 145. The the S&P 500 yesterday actually had a fairly good day, but look at what is happening here pre-market. We are opening indicated to open much lower here in about a couple of hours, 1.3% lower. There's now potential down to 5,385, possibly lower. If I just zoom out a little bit, we can see there's some support here, 5,385. That will be key, but we are in a bearish trend. Negative sentiment all around is indicated to push even lower, unless we close the day back above 5,500, and that will be key for the S&P 500 on Nasdaq. And also look at the how we are set to open at the moment, at least. Well, it's not that much lower. It actually traded much lower pre-market. But after the close, as we can see here, it had a very good day, 19,581, but it is set to open around 18,800. So that's a massive sell-off. It actually sold off in the aftermarket also. 18,305 seems to be the level to look out for. In this region here, maybe down to 17,000. It doesn't look too good, does it? It's not happy times to say the least. And also Dow Jones, that actually had a fairly okay day yesterday, it is now set to open much lower in the region of 41,000. And it looks fairly heavy. It's not the lowest one, but it seems that the downtrend is resuming, potential down to around 40,000 at the moment. Hang Seng in early Asian session, closed down about 1.5%, but just above the 22,576 support, and still above the cloud here on the daily. You can also see here the weekly, very key levels to be tested here, possibly in the next couple of days. If it closes below 5,576, 75, then expect lower levels. It seems like it's actually testing it maybe a little bit here in the aftermarket. European market has been hammered this morning. Here we have the EUROSTOXX 50 going straight through the support here at 5,228. There is a little bit of support down here in this region around 5,140, where we also have the 100 moving average coming up. I could see that we bounce a little bit from here, but if we close below the cloud, well, then we are in a negative bearish trend. We are that already. Negative sentiment on the RSI could send it lower in the coming weeks, possibly down to around 5,000. But let's see about that. Let's see if it can't bounce a little bit there from current levels. DAX got also sold off heavily, extremely volatile intraday, tried to push back above 22,148, got knocked down again, and now we're just above 21,800. That is seems to be a key point. The RSI is currently testing the 40 threshold. At the moment, it's just a few pips below it, as you can see over here. If it does close below, well, and if DAX closes below 21,800, well, then there's potential lower to around 21,250. Moving on to the FX market, where there's really some action going on. We have euro dollar that propelled higher, breaking a key resistance at 109.50-55 here this early morning, spiked to 111.45 and a bit just above the 176.4 projection, almost 200% of this correction here. I think we will see in coming days that we will push higher. We will see euro dollar pushing higher. If we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see that it is set to push to 112. If it takes out 112, well, then we are looking at 114.80. Let's just zoom in on that. 114.80, maybe 117. We could see that in the coming weeks. We are in a strong bullish uptrend, but it needs to take out and close above 112. Cable sterling dollar also pushed higher, as we can see here. The on the weekly chart pushing higher really there. We have on the daily, I can show you what's going on. We had some early warnings yesterday. We talked about it, that it could push higher, and it did that. Still in this rising channel-like pattern here, and it could push higher towards 134 area in the coming days and weeks. Positive sentiment on the RSI, very strong uptrend indeed, and it needs to go back to below 128.60 to reverse that. Euro sterling also bounced higher. We talked about yesterday that it needs to get above 83.90. If it does close above here, well, then there's also further upside potential. If it slides back, then it could be back below that point and could be caught range bound in this area down to 83.20. Dollar yen, as we talked about the past few days and last week, got rejected here at the key resistance 151.20.25. We had the death cross here with the 55 breaking below the 200, where they're both declining, and it was just about when we will get the sell-off. We got it today. Now it's testing the previous lows here at 146.5. Downtrend has resumed. Negative sentiment there on the RSI. RSI got rejected at 60 threshold, back below 40. I see that I think we'll see the dollar yen to push lower in the coming weeks towards 140.25. These lows here seems to be in the cards, especially if we get RSI on the weekly, meaning end of trading day tomorrow to close below 40 threshold, and our dollar yen to close below 146.5. Then it's like the road is paved down to around 140.25. Euro yen, on the other hand, more range bound. A lot of volatility, but range bound here between 164 and 20. Spike below the support here at 160.70, but touched the cloud and touched the 55 moving average. So still, this range here is key for euro yen. It seems like it's really between two nails here being squeezed. So expect a lot of volatility and no direction. Needs to break out either really to the downside for downside. But positive sentiment on the RSI indicating likely higher levels, but I need confirmation. Aussie yen currently below the minor support here at 93.15. I think it will push lower in the coming days and weeks, and also take out 92. if we are looking at the key support here, 91.80, really key support, could push lower. Negative sentiment on RSI on both daily and weekly. Sterling yen, a lot of dancing on the spot, more or less, less volatility than euro yen, but still key support 192. And I will actually say that I will add a line here saying, okay, 195, 196 actually. That's the breakout. I mean, we had this falls here, but we are still in a bullish trend of higher highs, higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. Can we get another higher high? I doubt it, because we have all the moving averages, at least the 200 and 100, declining 55 will support a little bit. So I think it will be tucked in between 192 and 196. The Aussie dollar, well, spiked below the cloud, almost down to 62.20 support, then back in here in this triangle-like pattern. And it seems to be resuming uptrend. If it takes out these peaks here at the 63.90, then I think we'll see a push towards 65 and a half. Still positive sentiment on the RSI. Could see that. Dollar Canada got hit hard, took out the support of 142.40, dropped to 141.20 support, testing it currently. I think we'll see a further selling down to 140, maybe 139 and a quarter. Well, we have the 200 moving average giving some support. We could spike lower there, but let's see if it will close below or will it bounce back here. But at the moment, let's see where it ends today. At the moment, 40 threshold has been broken for the RSI, indicating lower levels, and it seems like we are now below the 55, and the 100 moving average seems to be set for lower levels. Excuse me. Sterling Canada spiked higher, but it didn't take out the peak from yesterday, so it's still in this range here. I still believe it will slowly push higher towards 188. Key support here at 183.45. That it should hold, otherwise it will push lower towards 182, maybe 181. Euro Swiss, a lot of volatility yesterday, but not so much today, interestingly. So still in correction mode, trying to spike, trying to move back higher. If it takes out 94.90, we could see a test of the 200 moving average around 94.5. But we are in a positive sentiment, and I think we will push higher eventually. But it is a little bit in a limbo, so I will be a little bit cautious, to be honest. Dollar Swiss, massive drop here, straight through the support here at 87.55.50, down to next support at 86.15, spiking below 86. I think it could bounce a little bit, but we are in a downtrend. Looking at the weekly, we can see what's going on. Really massive sell-off. Currently negative sentiment on the weekly RSI. Could push lower towards 84 on the medium term. Let's see where it ends today, above or below 86.15. That would be key. Finally, the dollar index got also hammered today, and straight through 101.86 support. Currently also trading below it. Next support just around 100, could spike a little bit below 100 here in the coming days towards the end of the week, and that will be a key level towards out for. I think if we get down there, which I believe it will, it's not a recommendation or anything. Things can change, but I think we will get down to around 100 either before the weekend or early next week. Gold seems a bit toppish, selling off a bit today. First support here as at 3,057, where we're also just around where we had the very short-term 61.8 retracement. Could spike lower if we get back below 3,000 and close below there. Then we have a different situation. Then we have a top and reversal or a bearish trend in place. There is a bit divergence on the RSI, as we can see here. Didn't get all the way up, but that usually doesn't really doesn't mean much to gold, but it is something you should look out for. The what is also key, and this is what you can do yourself, you can draw trend lines on the RSI. So we can try to draw a trend line, see, okay, is it breaking below the trend line? We can also adjust a little bit. Sometimes you actually see the pattern more clearly, and at the moment it is below the rising trend line here. That belongs to this uptrend here. We can also draw a trend line up here and say, okay, what's going on? We can see actually on the other side, it actually breaks below the trend line before it possibly do it on the actual price graph. What is also should be something to keep an eye on, I'll remove this one, is that will we get a shooting star on the weekly chart? It depends. We will know more tomorrow at the end of the trading day. Will we get a shooting star? So what we could also do here, we can add Fibonacci to the uptrend and say, okay, if we get a larger correction, well, then we are possibly down to around the 29.40, 29.26 level. Silver got a hard hit here this early morning, has continued throughout the day, and currently touched the 55 moving average. It's a little bit more vulnerable than gold, because there's also being used a lot in the industry and the tech industry. We could test the lower rising trend line here, maybe dipping all the way down to support here just around 32, 31.80. What is interesting to us on the weekly, we have a bearish engulfing in the making on the weekly. Let's see where it ends. We can talk about it to Monday. Copper, we talked about it yesterday. We had actually for quite some time. We had the shooting star top and reversal pattern here, and it could drop to, and it did this morning, to 483 support and the 61.8 retracement. That is key. If it starts taking it out, then we are looking at 468, but a little bit of bounce here at the moment. So let's see what happens at the next 24 hours. Also a lot of action in the energy market here. WTI crude oil, which got rejected at the 786, just around the 786 retracement here, tried to really push above it a couple of times, but got rejected. Now back below the 55 and the 100 moving average, and they're both declining. So there was some strong resistance. It was fighting against the tide, and now it's back below support at 68.42. I think we will see it testing 67.90, possibly all the way down to 66.72. The 786 retracement of this bullish uptrend there. Brent crude oil, more or less the same picture. We can adjust the Fibonacci a little bit. Below $72, the support, I think we're looking at 71 fairly shortly, and possibly also down to just around $70, $69.85. So it really turned the tide there. Dutch TTF gas or EU gas, well, taking out the 40 euros and is pushing lower. I think we can see it push down to 38, 36, and 70. This support down here. Henry Hub, US nat gas, not really doing much, just dancing sideways. It needs to take out the spike up there at 425 or 370 to the downside. Also some action in the yields market, the bond market. We have the US 10-year Treasury yield spike lower, almost down to 4%, just a little bit above 4.019, so 4.10 here. Could still take out 4%, but let's see, maybe if it can close back above 4.20, then we could see a bounce up towards 4.25, maybe even 4.30. But as you can see, we are below all moving averages, and they are all declining. So really looks heavy at the moment. And also here on the weekly, we can see what's going on. We are in a bearish trend. If RSI on the weekly closes below 40 threshold, then it can spell more trouble, or not trouble, but it's good for us who wants a lower interest rate. Here we can see the future, the 10-year Treasury yield future spiked higher here on the daily. So is that a top and reversal, a shooting star? Let's see in the coming days, but we are in an uptrend. The 2-year Treasury yields dropping lower, currently just around 378, could push lower in the coming weeks towards 370, 366. Quite heavy at the moment, but I think we will turn around here around 375 maybe. But there's some strong support down here. On the European yields, we have EU10, the 10-year Europe, that this morning, let's zoom in, you can see it actually spiked below the key support here, 265, and currently trading just around it. If it closed back above, then it could crawl back higher here in the coming weeks. But if it starts pushing low, there is potential. If it does close below 265, well, next one is 258, and then of course the gap down to around 252, 253. The UK 10 currently below key support here at 460, 458. If it does close here around here, well, then it could push lower towards 445 in the coming days and weeks. Finally, on Bitcoin, that is, well, it collapsed yesterday after getting very close to 8,800, and next the support here is 81,230. That is should be observed. If it takes out that, well, then it could be looking again in the region around 78, 76,500. Ethereum, well, dancing sideways, basically tucked in here between the 2100 and 1750, and just below the falling trend line. If it takes out that support there, then we're looking at 1500. All right, that's all for today. Talk to you again tomorrow, and be careful out there.